In this video I'm going to modify the code a bit, and I'm going to add a HUD for the player so we can have his health and his mana, energy, and anything else like that. So to start, what I did is, in my warrior blueprint, for the speed debuff I deleted the event, and in my boss debuff I deleted the event for player speed. The reason is because we're going to use blueprint interface. It's going to take less coding. So in general folder, go into blueprint and add a blueprint interface. Call it BPI_debuff. Open that up. The new function, call it slow_p for player, and make another one and call it burn_p. You could save and compile that. Now go into the warrior blueprint, in class settings and interface you want to add the debuff BPI we just made. So do the same thing for boss, add the BPI_debuff. Next we're going to compile, and here I'm going to type in slow. So I get add event, call function. Actually I don't need any of these. What I want is uncheck context sensitive and take message. For target we're gonna get player character and plug it right there. Another thing I'm gonna do is make sure the boss only goes into the one debuff that causes the player to speed to slow down, so I could test it out faster. Let's go into the warrior blueprint, compile this too. Now I want to type in event and slow. I'm going to hook this event up to the print string. Now you'll notice we have less code and we have an entire sheet of debuff that we can apply. It's just more efficient like this. See? It worked, it slowed me down. So in the next segment I'm either going to cover the burn damage or take care of the player HUD. Now let's work on the burn damage blueprint interface. So I'm in my warrior blueprint. I'm going to go to debuff burn. I'm going to disconnect this event. I'll disconnect it. I'll delete it after. I want to type in event burn and get event burn p. Connect that right here. Now let's go into boss, spell, and flames_bp. Now in class setting you want to add that interface again. Let's compile that. Now this is how we were calling the whole fire burning event. So I just need to get player character, and I can disconnect pretty much all of this. Even this. I won't be needing this stuff. Here, another actor, I'll type equal 2 times and connect it to player character, put it in the branch. I'm just gonna compile this, and then I wanna uncheck context sensitive and type in message. What I want to search for is there, burn, and connect player character here. So all this isn't needed. Now I'm gonna go back to boss, and I can't remember which one it was, which montage, so let me just check. Yeah, it's this one, debuff 2. So I'm gonna connect all this to debuff 2 for testing and try it out. There, my character's on fire. So the event blueprint communication worked perfectly fine. So next segment we're gonna start with the player's health and his energy and everything like that. So just another thing I want to mention. First, let me reconnect these. Basically, in that blueprint interface we just made, here we could have more functions. We can have, I don't know, burn for the boss, so burn underscore B. We can have slow underscore B to slow down the boss. We can also have armor break underscore B. We could have root underscore B to root the boss. These are all debuffs that we can add to our boss. And I don't know if there's anything else I need to add, but if there is, I'll do it later. So I'm just gonna save and compile this, and we'll start the next segment soon. So to get his HUD working, let's start it by going into Content, Widgets folder, and make a new widget blueprint. So user interface, widget blueprint. We'll call it HUD underscore warrior. Open that up, and we'll get a vertical box. Now in this vertical box, what I want to place are 2 progress bars. The first one I'll put it to green, and the second one, just gonna move it down. Oh, that's not working. Okay, well, I could put text right in between these, and I'll place this one here. Okay, so this one we'll call it health, and this one we'll call it energy. So energy will leave it blue and health is green. Okay, next thing I want to do is make bindings. I'm also going to shrink this and anchor it to the bottom left. So let's bind this. Create binding, and it's right here. I'm going to rename this to HP bind. I'm going to go back to designer and do the same thing for energy. I'm going to call it EN bind. Now let's go into the HP bind and promote this to a variable. Call it HP. Now I'm going to get player character, cast to warrior BP. Now I need to go access my warrior BP and make a variable called health, and make it a float, and click on the eyeball and compile. So going back to the HUD, as warrior BP, get health, and I'm gonna divide health by 100. Here I want to set HP. I could just use this node to connect it in there. I don't really need the small one. And that goes up there. Going back into my warrior blueprint, let's go get his event begin play. Okay, I didn't set it up, so we're gonna set one up now. Event begin play, and let's go type in set health, set it to 100, connect this together, and type in create widget. We're gonna go get the widget we just made, HUD warrior, and add to viewport. So if I play it, I should have something there. So now I have his health and I have his energy. So I'm going to do the same thing for energy. we're gonna add a variable energy, and I'll put energy to something higher than 100. I'll put it to 150 in default here, and I'm also gonna set it. Click on the eyeball and compile. And let's go back to HUD Warrior. I can just copy this whole thing, go into the energy bind, we can promote this to variable. We probably don't even need to promote to variable, but what's good is if you wanted to do any other sort of calculations, you would have a variable there already. So get energy, and since I set it to 150, I'm going to divide this by 150. Here, we're going to set energy. So you could just connect this like that, but okay, let's see this. So we got his health and his energy. You can move it around wherever you want, but in the next segment what I'll do is we're going to give him a bit of damage just to test these things out and make him lose some energy on not these attacks, but this one. Here we go. That swing, the blue one. And now for this segment in the video, we're going to apply a little bit of damage to the player. So I have my warrior blueprint open, my boss blueprint, and my HUD, I don't really need it. I have my fireball and flame open. So going into boss, let's go to the bottom right quadrant here and make a custom event. Call it do DMG for damage. Next I want to type in apply damage and get game damage, apply damage. I also want to get player character and put that into damaged actor. I'm going to connect these two and drag a green pin and type in random float in range, and here I have minimum and maximum damage. I'm going to drag both of these in the right place. Okay, so what else I can do is copy these three, including the event, actually these 4 nodes, go into fireball and paste it. And I could set this number to I don't know, 1015. I'm gonna copy this, and while I'm here, actually I had this, so in between warrior BP and spawn emitter I can apply damage to the character. We're gonna clean this code up a bit, but probably in another segment or another video, I don't know. Let's go to flames BP and let's paste that here. For damage, I don't know, I could put it to 4 to 6, because this thing, as every time you run into it, it'll burn you and it's gonna damage you in a repetitive manner. It could be almost instantly, so you might rack up 4, 4, 4, 4, or I don't know what. At the end of this, let's call the event. Now let's go to our warrior blueprint, and here in the bottom right quadrant I'm gonna type in event any damage. Now instigated by, I'm gonna type in not, and I want to get player controller and plug that in. So if it's not instigated by me, then I can get hit, I can take some damage. Let's get health, set, and also a get, do health minus, and put damage right there. There's one more thing that needs to be adjusted or added. We have to go to where it says first fist ray trace, and at the end of each of these events we need to call our do damage function. So right here, call function do damage. I'm gonna copy that and paste it below. compile that and test. There, you see the chunk of my energy go down. He's doing a lot of damage. So next segment, what I'm going to do is, when I perform an attack like this one, you're going to lose some energy. So to lose energy per attack, let's go into our warrior folder and go into the warrior blueprint. Now, I know that the second smash are the ones that drain energy from you. So here, I can move all this. And let's say every attack that I perform takes the same amount. That would make it a bit easier, because here I can put a branch and I can get energy and check if my energy is greater than or equal to would do. So greater than or equal to, let's say 50. If it's true, then I can continue on and do these attacks. If not, then what I would do is call a combo reset, and probably even other types of resets, like a smash reset. However, if you wanted, let's say in greatsword combo, let's say this last one took 50 energy but the other ones didn't, like these ones could have been, I don't know, 30, and then this one 20. Well, what you would need is, right after combo, you type in AND. Now your second condition is going to be your energy. I'm going to disconnect true here. I actually don't need this either. So this is my condition. Then I can proceed to performing that attack. So I'm going to leave that here for now. I'm going to do this for probably one or two of them, and I'm going to do the rest of them off screen because it's just the same type of work. I'm going to leave these two nodes on the side for now. I'll refer to them later. So this condition, let's say it's true. I'm going to go down this whole chain and I'm going to set energy. At the same time, I want to get energy. I'm going to subtract this by 20 and I'm going to set my energy. So it's getting a bit crunched up, and here we had false. We can actually take this out, because if none of these conditions are going to be true, then they're just going to reset our combos and our smash attacks. So I'm going to pause the video and fill up the rest, and we'll continue on. Okay, so I went on and I completed the rest of the smashes, and I also subtracted the appropriate energy, and for the last branch I had reset smash, and I did the same thing for the sword smash second combos. So here I got my conditions, and make sure the combos are the right number, and then at the end of that branch I reset smash and reset combo reset, sorry. So I'm gonna test this out. Yeah, I'm losing energy. So that's going according to plan. I didn't lose energy there, and I'm gonna switch modes and the boss is after me. So now we can lose, but we have no way of gaining it back. So in the next segment, I'm going to show a way that we're going to get this back. Now let's work on regenerating energy when we're not attacking, and we're also going to stop energy while we initiate an attack. So to begin, let's make a function and we'll call it restore EN for energy. I'm gonna go down, get my energy, set it at first. Here I want a branch, and I remember my energy's maximum was 150. Yeah, that's it. So if energy is less than, actually if it's less than 150, I'm gonna add to it. Or better yet, actually, we could probably use a clamp. This is gonna help us a lot more. So max and min, we set that up. Here I got 150. Now what I want to do here is energy plus this here, this value that I'm going to input. It basically determines his rate of restoration. So if I put this to 20, well, he's going to restore it really fast. But this isn't the only factor that's going to determine. 20 is going to make it go up in chunks, and 1 is going to make it go up gradually. And it's you're going to see that in the animation more than anything. So now that I have a restore energy variable, here in our overhead stuff, I'm going to make a custom event. And I'll call it Regen EN. Funny word. So Regen energy. I want to set timer. And I want to set it to looping, and I want to get that function name that I just made, restore EN. I misspelled that. Restore EN. So here in time, if I set it to 5, well, every 5 seconds he's going to get 1. But if I set it to, let's say, 0.25, so in 4 seconds, I mean in 1 second, you should have 4 energy points restored. However, let's put it to 0.5, just because he's a warrior. Next, what I want to do is copy this, and I'm going to call this event regen en underscore stop. I want to get a clear timer and type in my function name. I'm just going to copy paste it. I'm going to comment this and call it energy regen. Now let's go to our combo reset and call our function, I mean that custom event we made, regen en. So when the combos reset, you start to regen your energy, and the moment you click left mouse button or right mouse button or even dash spacebar, you should first stop your your energy restoration. You should stop this. So let's put that in there. I'm gonna type in stop and get this. Actually, it'd be a good idea to make a variable called alive, since we're working with energy now, I mean health, and we're gonna be moving on to damage dealing. Before pressing any of this stuff, you want to check and make sure your character is alive, because if he's not, then none of this really matters. I could copy this whole little segment and go to right mouse button. Since this blueprint looks like a total mess, I'm just gonna move this whole thing, this whole colossal blueprint. Just gonna separate it like that. So here released, I'm not gonna touch released yet. I'm just gonna plug these into each other. And released, all it's gonna do is it's gonna take off that blocking mode, greatsword mode, whatever. But I guess when you release, I'm not sure if you need to regen or not. Anyway, I guess we could just make a branch here and check if the player's alive. Because if he is, he can perform the release action and play the animation or whatever. And I just noticed that there's no reset combo, so I think it would be a good place to put that in. Maybe. We'll see later when the time comes. I don't want to rush into this too soon. So I'm going to move this on the top section. I hope you guys are better at organizing your blueprints than I am, because look at this. It's a whole game of itself. Line writer. Now let me see where else I need to put. Okay, let's play. Oh right, he's not moving because my variable for is alive is set to aha. It's assuming my player is dead. Yet I was able to attack. That's because left mouse button doesn't have the branch. So let's put that in. Same thing for released. And I also want to stop stamina here. Stamina, sorry, regen energy. In my game I called it stamina, so it stuck to my head. And what does this do? We're gonna check it out later. In Initialize, right here, you also want to set that alive variable to true. I just put this stuff in Initialize, so every time I need to refer to it, I don't look here, I just come to this section. Because at the end, when I'm done with the blueprints, I usually color code this stuff, so it's easier for me to find the zones. So let's set this out. You can see my energy go back up at a very slow pace. So that seems to be working. And how fast it goes up or whatever, how much you lose of it, well, that's up to you to decide. You can even make these basic attacks lose energy. So it ends up like stamina pretty much. And you can modify it to your liking. And that's it for this segment. In the next segment, I'm going to cover burst points. So when you receive damage, you're going to have like a limit break bar. And when it's full, you can access your ultimate attack. This is probably going to be the last segment of this video, and we're going to start working on the burst limit of the character. So to start, let's make a new variable, and we'll call this burst. And I want to change this to float. However, integer would work too, but we'll just set it to float. Click on the little eyeball, compile that, and let's go into the characters in his widget, his HUD widget. I'm just gonna move this whole vertical box upwards. I hate this editor. Oh, there we go. Just when I hate it, it works. So I'm gonna put another where is it? Text. And I'm gonna call this limit break, just like Final Fantasy. I'll put it to 12, 14. Okay, now I can read it better. And then I'm gonna get a progress bar, and I don't want it to be as long as the other ones. So let's see. Style, no. Padding, nope. Oh, that sucks. Well, I have no idea where I could resize it. This thing just seems to be taking up the whole space. So I'm gonna check its color, and I'll set this to yellow. However, I'm gonna set it to some dark brown color right now. So when it's full, it's gonna become nice bright yellow. So let me get that bar and put the percentage to 0, and let's create a binding. And in the binding, we'll call it limit break LB underscore bind. And I want to turn this into a variable, and I'll call it burst, because that's what I called it in the other one. So bad with naming. Now let's go into en bind. Just copy paste everything here. And in this, I'm gonna go get burst, and I'm gonna divide burst by 100, because I don't know, maybe you guys want to put more points, but I'm fine with 100. Then here I can type in set burst. Wrong one. Just gonna drag it and set. And connect these two together. Here, the reason why it's a variable, I mean, you don't have to make it a variable. You could just do this, but if you want to add, subtract anything here along the way, you can do that. Next thing I want to do is here. Appearance. I want to create a binding for this too. And I'm going to call it LB color. I'm going to promote this to a variable. Bar color. I'll leave that window be, and back to LB bind. What I'm gonna do is check if this thing is equal to, oh, wrong one. If the float is equal to 1, and if that is true, I'm gonna get bar color and set it. I'll make 2 of them. First one, I'll make it a dimmed out yellow, and then the other one, I'll make it this bright one. So like this, I know I'm at max. Pass true and false together and connect them to set burst. Now that I have that, I'm gonna compile and save. And here we're gonna start to add burst to our character. So add a custom event. Type in get burst. We're gonna set this and also get it. Type in plus. Connect these two together. Now, obviously, you can just give it a fixed amount at every hit you take, or you can do something even greater, where you take this variable, you promote this to a variable called damage, and right after this branch, we're going to set the damage variable, and then pass it down to health. So we have this. What else we can do is disconnect here and plug damage right there. So what happens with burst is we gotta clamp this, and we'll put the value for the clamp to 100. I'm gonna get damage, and I'll divide it. I'll divide it by let's say 2, or even better, just for fun, random float and range. Put it to 2 and 3. So this way my burst bar takes some time to fill up. Now that I have this whole little equation going on, it's going to fill up my burst bar accordingly. And right before I just subtract health, I'm going to type in get burst and call my event. I'm going to comment this to get burst via DMG. So I'm getting burst via damage received, actually. because we can also increase our burst bar as we perform smash attacks, and we're gonna get into that in future videos. So let me test that out, and before anything else, I'm just gonna compile, make sure burst is set to 0, and in Initialize I'm also gonna set burst to 0. Now, one of the good reasons why I'm doing it here is, let's say if you wanted a weapon system or a shop system, well, there would be a branch here and it would check if you bought a certain weapon. If you did and that weapon granted you some initial burst of, I don't know, 50 to start with, well, this is where you would change it. Same thing for the health and the energy. It would be applied the same way, even for armor. And speaking of armor, here let's make a variable and we're gonna call it armor. And we're gonna get, also let's compile this, we're gonna do damage divided by armor, and then we'll plug it in. So this is our character's resistance, and it's a variable you can always change for an armor boost or whatever it may be. And since we did that, let's go back to Initialize character and set his armor here too. Set armor. Now you don't want to divide by 0 because it'll make the universe explode. You know how it works. So we'll give him an armor of 1.3, so it's 30% damage reduction, which is quite a lot. I mean, for weak characters that have no armor, you probably want to put that value anywhere close to 1. And if they go in berserk mode and you want to make them get more damage, well, you put the value below 1. Now, just gonna save this and play. If anything goes wrong, I'll pause the video, and you know the routine. So there's my limit break. Now let's go get beat up. Look at that limit break bar going up. In future videos, what I'm going to do is also show you guys how we're going to set up the ultimate attack for this guy. I'm just going to do one, but those things you got to get creative for that. There, now I'm at full limit break, so I would be able to use my ultimate skill. Okay, so thanks for watching, and I'm probably going to make one more video where when you're blocking, your shield has a certain amount of impact it can take, and then you exit blocking mode automatically, and you have to wait for the shield to basically recharge or something like that. Or what we can do is simply, while you're taking damage in shield mode, well, you're losing energy, and when you're out of energy, you exit shield mode.